Welcome back, everybody. Today we will be going over the Armory Craft flat-faced adjustable trigger and the Gray Guns adjustable flat-faced trigger. I also have the Armory Craft slightly curved flat-faced trigger as well, so I'll just be reviewing all three of those together. Let's go take a look and see how they do.
So on the top left is the Armory Craft flat-faced adjustable trigger. The top right is the Gray Guns adjustable flat trigger, and on the bottom is the Armory Craft slightly curved flat face trigger. The review and comparison will be on all three of these and which one I think is the best and in which order I would rank them. So here is the first one to come out, was the Armory Craft flat faced. I have a install video up. It was, I think, my second or third video that shows how to install these guys and do the adjustments on that Delrin pin right there. Here is the Gray Guns. Little different setup. On the Gray Guns, the adjustments are inside the top of the trigger. It does not have the Delrin pin in the center of the trigger itself. I do like the way that looks and hides. But to be honest, they both function the same, so you lose the skeletonizing on Gray Guns trigger. So if you like that look, you're probably already leaning towards Armory Craft. And then here is the Armory Craft slightly curved. This is a sample or prototype, one of the first 8 they got. Milos sent this to me to review it, so I figured I'd throw it in on a showdown of all three of them. I'm not sure if this will come with the grooves in the front for the trigger where the flat-faced one has them or not. Honestly, I prefer it smooth like this. This trigger is super comfortable. So let's put them on and see what they look like and my final thoughts on what I think on each of these 3 triggers. So we will start out with Armory Craft's flat-faced adjustable trigger. You can adjust it so it eliminates pre-travel and over-travel, and it was the first on the market to allow both those adjustments, so that's where we will start. You'll notice it is skeletonized, so that's a pretty cool look it has. There are little grooves on the face of the trigger, and this is it feels to be the widest trigger of the 3. There's no lateral movement in the trigger. Here's the double action. Single action and the reset. So super short reset. This is not my favorite trigger of the 3. They're all pretty close. But this is the trigger I would choose if I was doing a slower paced target shooting. It's nice and fat and flat. So as far as slow, precise shots, this trigger is what I would pick if that's my objective for the gun. I would not pick this trigger for my carry trigger necessarily. I will go over that with the other 2, but it's a heck of a target trigger, and it is way, way, way better than the factory trigger or anything that you would be used to coming from SIG. I mean, it's stellar how tight they got the tolerances on this. Here is the Gray Guns flat adjustable trigger. You'll notice the differences on them right away. The Armory Craft being skeletonized, the Gray Guns not. The Armory Craft having the pin in the middle of the trigger, where the Gray Guns is hidden up on the top of the trigger itself. The Gray Guns is easier to adjust because once you take everything apart, you have easy access in the top. to the over travel pin, and then you just have to take the locking block off and you can get to your pre-travel pin. I did have to put Loctite on because the first time I put it on, it loosened up after about 200 to 300 rounds after the Loctite was in, and I haven't had any problems since, and I've had probably close to 1,000 rounds through this trigger. Double action pull. Single action. Reset. So in my opinion, between the two flat triggers, as far as target shooting and accuracy goes, I would pick the Armory Craft. I feel it's about a millimeter wider, and the edges are not rounded off, so it gives you a nice fat pad for your finger, and you can really feel the linear movement going straight back because it's so fat and flat. I prefer the gray guns for carry. The rounded edges make it comfortable for quick follow-up shots without having ridges there. I do feel I am more accurate slowly with this, but for carry I would prefer this out of these two. We're not even talking about this guy yet. So here is the slightly curved version of the Armory Craft flat trigger that's adjustable in for over travel and pre-travel. You'll notice this one is not grooved inside the finger where the flat one is. This is one of the 8 samples, so I don't know if that's going to be final production or if they will be putting the finger grooves in. We'll have yet to find out, but it does have the adjustable Delrin pin that you file down so it's permanently adjusted, as well as the adjustable Delrin pin in the trigger itself for the over travel that you can adjust with the included Allen wrench. So here's double action pull, reset, no movement on the pre-travel, and the reset. I do have SRT in this M11A1. That's the way it came from the factory. So these triggers are said to work if you do not have the SRT kit, but I do, so that's why the reset's super short. And this trigger is just the final piece that was missing. It is super tight. It does not wiggle laterally any way at all. It's snug, as well as when you're trying to pull it back, there's no pre-travel. So good job. This is my favorite of the 3. I guess you can say this is the winner of the shootout and is the one that I will be keeping on my everyday carry. So good job over at Armory Craft. You guys have taken this one. So here is the winner, the Armory Craft semi-curved flat face trigger. I like this the most because it is the most comfortable on my fingers. I feel my trigger finger just falls into the slight groove that it has. You don't feel the edges at all. All the tolerances are super tight. There's almost no lateral wiggle at all. You can't even notice it. It locks up 100% for the pre-travel and stops right where it needs to on the over travel. Just as far as comfort and function goes, this is the winner. I say function because the tolerances on the trigger pin for the Armory Craft are a little bit tighter than the gray guns. I do get a little bit of noticeable wiggle from side to side. It's not near as much as the factory, and I'm not saying it's wobbly, but there is a noticeable wiggle, where the Armory Craft ones, I mean, they're almost as tight as you can get for 2 separate parts. The tolerances are a little bit tighter, but that's the winner. The only thing I would say is if you can move this pin up into the top, but that's just petty visual things. The one thing I will say about gray guns is I am not very happy on how they charge $9.99 to ship a $3 envelope. It says flat rate shipping on your website. I was expecting a $10 flat rate box, even though I know it wasn't needed. I think it's kind of bogus that you're paying $10 to ship a $3 part and pocketing the rest of the money. I really wouldn't care if you raised your price $10 on your trigger and paid $3.50 for shipping. I'd be a happier camper. But I think that's pretty shady business practice on Gray Gun's end, because nobody's dumb enough to think that it really costs $10 to ship a stupid trigger. But beyond that, it is a great trigger. That's just my rant on their shipping. All three triggers are awesome, but this is my favorite.
Thanks for joining me today, everybody. If you want to see a video on how to install one of the Armory Craft triggers, I will put it down here, and I would really appreciate it if you click over here and subscribe. And remember, spay or neuter your pets and always adopt. There are thousands of animals looking for homes, and they just want to be part of a family. Have a good day, everybody.